Hey there, Ring the Bling and all the things family. I have got such a treat for you guys today. My sweet Kelsey, who's got married last fall, she is back on today. You guys got to hear Kelsey talk about planning her wedding and the weeks leading up to her wedding. You've gotten to meet her before. We're bringing her back on today. We're going to recap this wedding, and we're going to give you all of the deets on this wedding and let you know what happened and how Kelsey felt about everything.
And I was at this wedding. It wasn't just Sharon and Mike. Yes.
Yeah, she was there in the way.
Kelsey
Kelsey
was kind enough to let Kristina come in and shoot some behind the scenes shots, which I'm sure we will be sharing out. So Kelsey, what's up, girl? Tell us about married life.
Well, it's really not much different. Just good. Yeah, John and I got married in November, and we got a puppy because I didn't have any wedding planning, so I needed something else to focus on.
She's so cute.
How's the puppy?
She's so good. Her name's Halo. She is 5 months old, coming up next week. So she's all good.
I love all the pictures you've been posting of her. She's so sweet.
I love being a dog mom. She's so sportive.
Well, I'm going to jump to the first question. Kelsey, what's the first thing that comes to your mind from your wedding day?
Literally just all of it, all the details together. It was just the most perfect day. Even though I know things weren't perfect in the
But you didn't know that.
But I didn't know that. No, I didn't know anything.
We just talked too much.
I didn't want to know. That was the whole point of Sharon being there. I didn't want to know anything. So.
Well, that shows right there how important it is to have a wedding planner.
Yeah, I tell everyone they need a wedding planner.
Well, thank you.
To hear her say the whole thing, not just one aspect of it, I think that's what you want to hear from people. Of course, they can like one thing over another, but to hear that it was the whole day, like that's awesome.
Yeah, from start to finish, it was great. I mean, given I was pretty not nervous to get married, just my control aspect of who I am. It was a hard day to let go and let it be in like everyone else's hands.
I know there are several moments from your wedding day that really stand out to me, but I think my favorite moment from your wedding day, and I'm going to try not to cry because she knows I love her, but we had a moment where you were able to walk into the reception space before any of your guests came in. And I remember we walked in together and I was starting to rattle off something, we did this, we moved that or whatever, because I was just in work mode. And I looked at you and you were starting to tear up. And she got these big tears and she goes, "It's more than I could have ever imagined." And it hit me right then. I'm like, this is why. This is why I do what I do. This is why Mike, who was in the room at that time as well, like we all stopped and I just remember that feeling with Mike and I of like,
this is why we do what we do.
Yeah, and I honestly was a little bit nervous because Kelsey knew exactly what she wanted.
You were nervous. I was nervous.
She knew exactly what she wanted that room to look like. And I want all my brides to have a perfect wedding. I don't mean to say that. But she had just literally poured her heart into this wedding so much. And I don't know what I would have done if she hadn't have liked the room. It would have broke my heart. But when I saw that expression, just that pure joy on her face and on John's face, to be honest.
It was all a surprise.
I was going to say, even though he didn't know what was supposed to be there and what wasn't, he was like, "Oh, we had a balloon wall." But anyway, that was just my favorite. When I look back at the whole day, that was my favorite moment.
I was fortunate enough to be off in the corner when that happened. And she had her back to me, so I didn't. But when I walked up alongside her, she had the biggest smile.
It was just
kind of as she panned the room. And I think that's what you wish that for everybody. But to me, behind the scenes, honestly, she seems pretty calm.
Oh, yeah. She seemed great. She really did.
Now, maybe there's things that I don't know about, but she's like, "Oh, no, you can stay in here. Oh, no, you're fine." And she was just...
That's just Kelsey, though.
Very...
She's just sweet.
It was internal. No, everyone around me was totally fine. It was really just like everything coming together, and like I had been planning it for 18 months, and then it was just overwhelming that it was like there and happening.
I think that's one thing that brides don't realize is you plan for so long and then it's there and then you blink and it's over.
Yeah, I definitely
And I think
tried.
that's the sad part about it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely like the post-wedding blues after, like, just thinking about it all. My hard work for so long, what I focused on, but it ended up being perfect. And then I did try to stay in the moment as much as I could, like the
I think
whole
you did a
day.
good job of that.
Yeah.
Did it seem to go by really fast for you the day?
Yes and no. I feel like getting ready lasted forever, but it did. We were getting ready.
Well, you were doing pictures and all
at
kinds of
7
stuff.
a.m. But we never had like a lot of like lull time. Like we were constantly like going, which was nice. I don't like to like sit around and like wait.
You also, I think, because, you know, I was with you from 7 a.m. on, and you had a really fun bridal party,
Mhm.
and your hair and makeup people were on point, and I think that we just really had a fun day. Like, I enjoyed that time.
Can we just talk about the rooftop? When you just said the wedding party, it popped in my mind. I will not forget that. I was bundled up like it,
It was chilly.
but
It was
they
chilly.
went out there like just queens.
I
Like
have
nothing was going to
a
stop
picture
them.
on my phone. I think my assistant Rachel took it, but I have a picture on my phone, and I'm standing next to Kelsey because we're looking over the ceremony space because I wanted to make sure it was the way she wanted it, and she is literally in this little white robe.
Robe? That no.
Robe.
Tell her
shorts,
what it is.
whatever.
It's not robe.
It's like a fabric, like it's from Shein, from China.
Yeah.
It's like the thinnest fabric.
Robe to me sounds warm
And I am
and
standing next to
snuggly.
her in my winter coat, my gloves, and a big scarf. And I was showing it to my husband, and he's like, "Yeah, that's really helping your client there. Take one for the team." Because I'm like so bundled up like an Eskimo, and Kelsey is like in this
But you
little
know what?
bitty thing.
Kelsey was walking out there like it was
Like she owned it.
90 degrees.
I like the cold.
You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell. Which it was probably what,
It was-
25 or 30 degrees?
It was 43.
43. Okay, she knows it.
Well, it was
What about the
43 is
wind
still
chill?
cold.
I didn't look at that. They don't need
And we're on the 17th floor, on the top roof, 16th
Right.
floor.
Your guests though embraced it. They
I did
went
not
out
hear
there.
one person
No.
complain.
Oh,
They did not.
I texted them. John and I texted everyone
Bring a
before
coat.
the wedding, and I was like, "Sorry, group, it's happening outside. You're going to be outside for 20 minutes."
I remember going into her because I think that morning, if I'm remembering correctly, it was 33 that morning. And I remember going to her when I first got there.
Well, the
7
wind.
a.m.
I don't know
wind.
about the wind. The wind is.
And I said, "Okay, we're going to have to make a call." And she goes, "I want it outside." I'm like, "Final decision?" She said yes. And we never wavered from it. We kept it outside. And she had a huge ceremony arch that, you know, Mike was building. We have pictures of that as well.
I can't wait to show you that.
And
stuff.
I remember him being worried about the wind and that arch.
Wait till you see the footage of them putting it up. And I was like, "This is pretty stable, right?" And he's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Well, the wind seems to be picking up."
Tell
Yes.
us about your experience with the arch.
It was a glorious
Well-
experience, right, Mike?
I have done many weddings at the Silvac.
The brown.
We
I mean,
were
the Brown, I'm sorry. And I'll be honest with you, that day I was a little stressed out. I usually don't get that way. But what happened was that the elevator
Wedding planner failed.
did not go to the 16th floor. And we didn't know that, and Sharon didn't know that, so I'm not blaming that on her this time. But I mean, we literally had to go to the 15th floor, take the freight elevator, and then take a staircase that's probably 36 inches wide and carry this 8 pieces of this arch up the steps, plus all the flowers.
I love you, Mike.
It was very different. Live
You know
and learn.
that scene
Live and
from
learn. That's how we
Friends?
do.
Pivot with the couch. That was going on.
But
and
you know
they,
what?
yes.
Honestly, during that time, I wasn't worried about the steps or anything. I was just worried about getting it up there to make sure that it was what you wanted. I mean, that was my main thing. I didn't care if we had to take it outside and haul it up there with ropes. We were going to get it up there. But I'll
And
tell
then-
you what, it was an experience.
What about the other experience about getting it down to the reception room?
Well, this is probably one that you don't want to talk about.
It's
But-
okay.
But we had to take it back down because the original plan was that we were going to put the arch
I was going to
behind.
repurpose it.
yes, you were going to repurpose it, and we're not going to repurpose it ever again. But
you know what? You all made the right call, because those macaroons, if I'm saying the
that
right,
is correct.
was really important to her. And with the Louisville chocolate fountain was right there. And after all, guest safety, their safety being there.
Well, what happened
missing.
was, after they brought it back down the steps, to reassemble it in the reception room just to catch everybody up, the floor was a little bit unlevel. And I saw that they were struggling with it a little bit. And Rachel and I went over and we thought we were going to help.
I got a picture of you helping.
And it just wasn't working. And Mike looked at me and he said, I'm not doing it. It's not safe. And he might have said something else that I won't repeat.
Well, you all had it up, and it was
And I
obvious.
literally, all I could
Everybody
see,
kept saying, just leave it up against the wall. I said, no, we're not doing that.
I literally
We are not
could
doing
see that if we left it, the chance of it coming down and hitting her macaroon display, the chocolate
It had been
fountain,
a disaster.
plus, God forbid, a
A
person.
person. Mhm.
So I
I
said,
like the order that she just said that in, Kelsey. Macaroons, chocolate fountain people.
But literally, the floor went from this to this.
right.
And I'm thinking, what is going on? Now, we could have moved tables out, but you could not have done that with the
But,
guest
and I
tables.
remember, I never want to bother a bride with anything on wedding day. I just pretty much won't. But I remember knowing Kelsey, she would have walked in and the first thing she would have seen was that it wasn't there, because that she in her head
Mhm.
had this picture of this room.
I like how
down
she's sitting over there, like, not saying anything at all.
And I said to Mike, okay, I'll tell her. And I loved, again, this is just my sweet Kelsey. I went up and I said, we can't do the arch. If we do, it's going to fall. She goes, okay.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. Like,
Yeah,
I totally get it.
I literally was like, what is she going to say? How upset is she going to cry?
But when it comes to
Like-
that point, to be in safety or not safety
Yeah.
or safe, it just, it is what it is. But I was disappointed. I'll be honest
I
with
was
you. I was probably more
disappointed.
disappointed than you were, because
She was not disappointed.
I was not able to accomplish what you wanted.
But it wasn't your fault. It's technically the Browns' fault.
So,
Right.
and I've lived and learned a lot about the Browns.
But it worked out great. Like, the photos over by the macaroons and
Yeah.
the chocolate fountain.
Let's
The
talk
balloon-
about,
the balloon
let's talk
wall was
about some of the, what
Like,
I
we're
think,
jumping all around.
I know,
And
for
Sharon's like,
people
no.
listening, and I'm like, you guys, they weren't there. We have to back it up.
Oh, yes, you're right, Sharon. Thank you for that.
I want to talk about some of the things that I think made your wedding unique. We've mentioned the macaroons 2 or 3 times, so let's.
So I don't prefer wedding cake. I just didn't want that at our wedding. We had a groom's cake at the rehearsal dinner, so Johnny could have his cake. But I love French macaroons, and I obviously, like, on Pinterest when I was like researching wedding inspo, there was just like florals and macaroon towers, and so that's what I went with.
And they were so fun. I love your pictures because it's not the every weekend wedding cake pictures, and they were so good.
They were really good.
So John, our groom, he and I share a love for anything pistachio. And for him, we got pistachio macaroons. I may or may not have eaten 2 or 3 of them. They were so good. And the pictures are just unique because they were green, and the pistachio was green, the chocolate.
Yeah, it was chocolate flavored, and then we had strawberry, which was red, and the hazelnut, which was like light brown.
Yeah, so pretty. We're going to post pictures of that too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Mike added the florals to it, which
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, the pictures, talking about the pictures, I have to give a shout out to your photographer, because
Oh my
every
gosh.
one of them were top notch.
And she did amazing. I wanted her for her like dark and moody like editing, like that's what I wanted. I know a lot of weddings go for like the bright and airy, but it was November, and the brown is like, like kind of what is it's like 120 years old, like the antique, like old
Mystic
grand
kind of,
vibe. So I thought
So shout out to Against the Grain Photography. She's
Mhm.
crazy talented.
Can I ask a quick question in regards to this? What made you choose the brown?
I've always loved it. The crystal ballroom there is just, I think it's the prettiest room in Louisville. And I love like the chandeliers and like the princess wedding vibe. And so Sharon set up a few appointments, but we went to the Brown first,
And we canceled the other ones and we went and got coffee.
One of my favorite pictures of yours, and I don't know that I've seen all of them. And Sharon, I think it's one of yours too.
It is my absolute
with
favorite.
the archway.
Love it.
Just yes, very iconic. I mean, that picture just very statement.
I think you
picture.
were sitting
Yeah.
on a
Well,
bench.
she's
or
sitting
was-
and John is standing, and just their
Yeah,
expressions.
my
and-
photographer Kika, she like set that up. Like she like literally posed us like to get that photo, and when she snapped it, she like freaked out because she knew it was like so good.
I'm actually I'm getting a new banner to display at wedding shows, and with your permission, it's going to be the main picture on that
Yeah,
banner.
absolutely.
So,
it's my
and Sharon, I
absolute-
just wanted to ask about the brown. I didn't know if there was a reason behind it. I hadn't heard her say why she had chose there, but
She literally,
that's amazing that you really
I
enjoyed
remember, so Kelsey's the only client I've ever had, I think I talked about this on the last episode, that told me she wanted me to be her wedding planner before she was engaged. So she knew it was coming and we wanted to plan. And I remember even saying that day that we talked for the first time, where are you thinking? And she goes, I'm open to looking, but ever since I was a little girl, I've wanted to get married at the Brown. And so I made that our first visit and we canceled.
First
all of
and
it.
only.
We canceled. We actually had 3 appointments and we canceled the others.
Yeah, I did the site tour at the Brown when I got my sales manager position at the Hilton Garden in Ada because I had to do a competition like set tour, and the Brown was right next door. So the assistant director of sales took me on a tour there and took me into the ballroom. And I mean, John and I weren't engaged yet, but in my head I was like,
This
"This is I was like, this is where I want to get married."
One of the other things I think that you had that I've now started using more because of your wedding is you had a balloon wall. So I think we're seeing a trend where weddings are going away from like a photo booth and we're doing more of a photo opportunity. How did you come up with, you knew exactly what color balloons and everything you wanted.
I actually saw it on Instagram. The Muhammad Ali Center had posted it. So kudos to them for sharing that on their social media. And I reached out to the company that did theirs there. It was like the same colors I wanted, but she ended up being booked. So I reached out to Sharon and I was like, look, I really want this. Like, do you know anyone that can do this in Louisville? And she sent me to Derby City Events, and they ended up being like so affordable, and they did an amazing job. And like I ordered the neon sign like separately from Etsy. That came from China, but the sign was literally more than the balloon wall.
So shout out to Beth at
Yeah.
Derby City Events.
Derby City Floral Art events, it was great.
Amazing. I actually am planning a baby shower. Big news announcement. I'm about to be a grandma again. But planning a baby shower for my daughter-in-law, and we're going to do a balloon wall with them as well for photos. We're really excited about that.
Everyone loved it. They thought it was so different. Most, weddings have like a greenery wall or that kind of stuff. And I was like, I just want it to be a little different.
And the
So
colors
I
were
think
perfect.
your whole wedding, you went in with a plan, you stuck with it. From the very first day I talked to you, you brought me your Pinterest board, Pinterest page, and you stayed with it. And that is so important because so many brides will bring me something and they keep looking and looking and looking and they'll change their mind.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you never did. You never did that.
I don't
So
do that in normal day life. I'm pretty decisive.
Yeah, I think that's great. And if anything can be taught to another person planning their wedding is do something, stick with it, and run with it.
Well,
Because no one is going to know what your vision is until they walk into that door
Mhm.
and they see it themselves.
and usually as I get to know my brides, with working with them, I kind of know like what they would like and what they wouldn't like and, what's going to be a yes and what's going to be a no. And there was just nothing in that room that was not Kelsey. She very much loved the glam vibe, the princess vibe, even down to like her linens on her head table. We went with a rose gold sequin linen.
I think those made the room.
They made the room. It was so, so pretty. And then Mike with the florals on that table. There's a picture we have. Christina's going to kill me because I probably have talked about 20 pictures we're going to have to share, but there's a picture of the whole room. I think that actually Kristina took, and it's just stunning. I mean, the whole entire thing.
So, Kelsey, if there was one thing that you could give advice to another bride or a couple getting married, what would be the number one thing that you would tell them?
Well, if they are like me, definitely go in before your guests go into the reception space to see the room. That was like Sharon said, like the best part of seeing everything with John. And then Sharon was in there, and then like Anne from the chocolate fountain was in there. You were in there, just like all my vendors were in there, and like our photographer was in there, and that was the first time like she was seeing it, and she was like, "This is amazing." And then my other advice would to be stay together like most of the night, like as much as you can. Like you'll get separated, like talking to people, but I feel like John and I spent the majority of the night like next to one another, like while we were talking to guests, and that made everything like so much more special.
I love that.
I love that too.
We were just talking on another episode about how sometimes I'm with bride and grooms and it's like the exit and I'm putting them in a car and they're like, "Hi, I didn't see you today." You know, like to the person they just married. So, and I want to talk about too your entertainment. Your DJ.
Yeah, Corey, he killed it. He was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I got so many compliments about him. And one of my friends, she's getting married on New Year's Eve this year. And she reached out to me literally right after my wedding. She's like, "Who was your DJ? Like, I want him."
Corey's good.
Yeah.
Corey's good.
So let's talk about that for a minute. Did you, I think I know this answer, but for everybody listening, did you, kind of tell Corey, this is exactly what I want played. Here's 4 hours worth of music. Or did you kind of say, this is what I like?
No, I picked every song. Yeah.
No,
I sent
you
him
didn't
like
really.
a huge list.
She did.
Yeah.
She's not joking.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Literally every song is from the walk down the aisle of like, the bridal party walking down, the parents walking down. I picked every song to what played when we walked in, what played when my bridal party walked in, the whole party time playlist. I asked him, I picked every single song. It was a 2000s like throwback vibe, and then I asked him to like mix it together like a club mix, so there was no like silent times like during the reception.
She asked, and I actually loved it, and I've mentioned it in several DJ meetings since. She asked that the next song start about 30 seconds before the prior song was supposed to end. So there was never, ever a time that music stopped. Like even for just a second while the new song started, we didn't do that. Like Corey was on his toes that night because, so shout out to Party Zone Productions. Amazing, amazing job. You had just the best team. Anne from Little Chocolate Fountain. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah, everyone loved the chocolate fountain, and then she brought out her queso fountain.
Oh my, I love that.
Towards the end of the night for a late night snack.
Yeah. It was a big hit too. People were up there like crazy.
I'm just going to circle back around real quick when you were talking about Corey and the music. Of all the weddings I've been to, that one really stood out in my mind. How many people were up dancing, but stayed up dancing? Because sometimes
I don't
people
see
go
how
up.
they didn't like wear out because they were up
It
there all night
was
long.
active, but just kudos to you on your selection. You obviously knew your crowd, but also Corey with how he did it. Just, that was something, people were singing, smiling, laughing. It was just a great dance floor atmosphere. That's
what I wanted. Like John and I, we've been to a ton of weddings, and that was just, I know what I want when I go to a wedding, and that's basically how I made my wedding. I was like, this is what I want, and I'm going to make a whole day and show people what I want when it comes to weddings.
Well, you did an excellent job doing it too.
Let's talk about dinner.
Yeah.
So I know we asked the Brown to go off the beaten path a little bit. So for those of you listening that aren't from this area, the Brown Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky is where the hot brown originated. It's where it was originally made, and it's kind of what they're known for, but they didn't traditionally offer it as part of their wedding menu. It wasn't an option for weddings. So my girl Kelsey really wanted that, and we asked for it, and they were more than happy to accommodate. They were great about it. So, and I noticed that so many people chose that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was really popular.
Yeah, it was the original Kentucky hot brown, and a lot of people, that we invited to our wedding are from Kentucky or went to UK with us, so they're familiar with like the hot brown meal, and that's the original one. So I was like, if I'm going to get married at the Brown, I like that as an option. Most people did order the filet though, so.
And I think too, like, what I want brides to hear from this is it's okay to ask. If there's something, you're not in that box of what's on the paper in front of you. It's okay to ask.
I asked for a bunch of stuff.
You
and
did.
Brown really didn't tell me no on anything.
They were amazing to work with. I know she wanted seltzers,
White Claws.
for her bridal party, and to be offered at the bar. Wasn't on the bar package. And I was like, Kelsey, we can try, but man, I don't know. I even thought that was going to be a no. We asked and they accommodated. So
Well, that goes to show, always ask.
Mm-hmm.
You may hear no, but it's going,
because usually bar
it's not-
packages are a little more like
Yeah.
locked in, but yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah, and then Cameron, our contact at the Brown, I did a sip and be seated instead of like a sign.
Oh yeah, that was
for
so
like
fun.
table assignment. So it was like glasses of champagne and everyone had like a little card on it and it said their name and their table number. And I had asked the Brown if they could put pink champagne in it. Or
Because she
rosé.
wanted to pull the pink.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, of course. Like they didn't even hesitate.
And we have pictures of that too, and it was so pretty.
I'm keeping my list over here.
That was my assistant Rachel's job, was to put the cards on the glasses, and she did a great job.
Mhm.
So
It turned out great. The photos are really pretty.
it was gorgeous. So looking back, if a best friend, and I think this happened to you because it seems like a lot of your friends are getting married, came to you and said, I just got engaged yesterday. What's the first thing I should do?
Hire a wedding planner.
I knew she was going to say that. Was that?
I didn't know she was going to say that, but I'm really happy that she did. Why do you think that's important to do first?
I mean, a lot of brides, that I talk to even at my job, like they don't know that they can hire a wedding planner before they set a date and pick a venue. Like they don't know that. And I think everyone should know that they can have help on every step of the way. Like they don't have to just like blindly go into it. Signing a wedding contract is like a huge commitment. I send them out at work all the time and brides are like, oh, like I'm just like so nervous. And I'm like, I know, like I get it. And if you have someone who's like, yeah, it looks normal. There's nothing like sketchy in here. Like you're good to go. Like it just makes you feel so much better.
And honestly, that's my favorite time to be hired, before they've picked anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can help. I can literally like take their hand and lead them through every step of their wedding. Because my fee's the same. Whether you have your date and your venue chosen or not, it's the same. So why not use me for everything, to make sure that you do have somebody guiding you along the way? I love that answer. I didn't plan it, but I love it.
I don't believe you.
I
I
did
don't
not.
believe you.
Mike, I'm a planner at heart. You know this.
Here's what stood out to me. As detailed as Kelsey is, what all she's already talked about, she still says, no matter where you're located. Now, if you really want Sharon, she has bags and will travel. I'll tell you that. But what Kelsey's saying, even though she's like that, still hire that wedding planner to help you in the process. And that is a big testament. There's people out there that might not think they can afford a wedding planner. They may not think they want a wedding planner. They might not inquire.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the best
Well,
suggestions we
usually a
can
wedding
give.
planner will save you money.
And time. I'm big on saving time.
I was going to say the biggest
Time
thing
is
probably
money.
is time
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Thank you. I've said that many a times. Time is money. I've heard Sharon say about how many calls and emails she sends to get even just the appointments made, not even to the appointments. Time is money. And Sharon, I know you say that you save people just as much as your fee is, or if not more. And I'm so glad Kelsey's touched on this, because even if you're a very detailed, organized, OCD, whatever you want to call yourself, having that person to just make your vision come to life, I feel like you sound like you really got to enjoy your day, take it in, even though it may still have been a little struggle, like you said, internally. I feel like you're saying you got to enjoy your day.
Oh yeah. Even if you are like the most detailed oriented person and like love planning, no one else in like that I'm really, really close to, like my mom is not like that. Like John is obviously not like that. Like, and my friends, like to an extent they are, but I feel like I use Sharon most to be like, I'm going to do this. Like, do you like this? And she's like, yeah, I love it. It was more just like someone that I could talk to all the time and like not, and she was like so interested in like what I was planning. And that I really liked that aspect.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, the fact that that you were able to enjoy your day stress-free is huge to me too. I feel like, I don't know, people put so much of their heart into their weddings, and then to be stressed out and worried on your wedding day seems really, really,
Right. There's already a
Not
lot
cool.
going on. So
yeah.
you don't want to deal with
What
that.
about in thinking of the actual wedding day? If you could give one tip of advice, what would it be?
Eat food. I had trouble
You
eating.
did?
Yeah. I was just really I get like a nervous like stomach. Like I don't want to like eat when I'm
I kept saying, can I make you a plate? Can we eat something else? Let's eat something else.
and I was like, no.
She was.
No.
But no, it was so fun like getting ready with like my mom and my aunt and like all my best friends were there. It was just like it went by really fast. Like it really, even though we started hair and makeup at 7 a.m., all of my bridesmaids, we were up. We all stayed in the same suites the night before. We were literally all up at like 5 a.m. Like just awake for no reason.
So let me ask you this. We've talked about the positive stuff. So what is there one thing, and it can be anything that you want to say, is there one thing that you would change about that day?
I wish it was warmer. But other than that,
You can't dial up the weather, can
yeah, I can't control the weather.
you? If so, you'd have been on it.
Is there anything that you would have done differently or had your team do differently?
This is like kind of really nitpicky, but instead of the white neon sign, I probably would have got like a hot pink one. But other
I
than
do
that,
think it really did pop off those balloons.
Out of
though.
all of that, that's
I was sitting here in nervous wreck, like, what if she said something I should have done different?
no, it's my own fault.
No, but I mean, I took some of the pictures of the balloon wall, and I'm still in this serious conversation with her, and you're all joking around. But I
That's
really
what I
thought
I thought it was pink, I'll be honest with you.
No, I
When
really
I was
thought
sitting
it
here
popped off
picturing, I thought
there.
it was pink.
It's white.
Everything else was pink.
And I'm the one that took it out of the balloons. It's funny.
Well, if that's your answer, I think that's a pretty successful
What
event.
about my sweet John? I love that boy, man. I love him so much. What about him? What do you think? Would he have done anything different?
I don't think so. I think he really enjoyed himself. Like once all our friends started arriving, like Thursday and Friday, we did a big after our rehearsal dinner. We did a big gathering at 8 Up with like all of our
Close.
wedding and like basically everyone that was invited to the wedding. I was like, you all should come like hang out and see everyone. I'm so glad we did that because we both got to talk to all of our friends and it wasn't just at the wedding. So I would highly recommend doing that, having a get together at a different venue.
Well, I had Kelsey's friend group. I've done several of their weddings, and one of them, Courtney, said to me how much fun that event was the night before. And, I think they really enjoyed it and got time to visit because the wedding is hurried and it's hard to talk to everyone.
Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to like have, catch up with everyone at the wedding that I hadn't seen. And Friday night after the rehearsal dinner, like took care of that. We were there from like 8 to like midnight, I think, or 11, just like hanging out and drinking. And it was so good to see everyone.
Your rehearsal dinner was really fun too. I had a blast.
It was beautiful at Hurstbourne Country Club.
Mhm.
And John's mom did a beautiful job with the florals. And
She did, and she made the cutest little place cards. They were wine stoppers.
Mhm.
And your name was on your wine stopper. So I still have mine. Yeah, I mean, the whole weekend was just so good and so much fun. And I'll never forget the way you looked when you saw that room the first time. Like, that's going to be in my
one
heart
thing to
forever.
bring up.
What?
How about the bouquet toss?
oh yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I have video.
I've like repressed it.
No, it's
I
so
thought
funny.
it was so cute.
I threw the bouquet and it went into the chandelier.
And stay.
Stuck there.
It stayed
Okay,
there.
our friends went to the ground with their parents like a week or two later, and it was still there.
I have a tour there on Saturday.
Okay,
It's still
I'm
make
there.
going
sure
to
to
look. I'll take a picture if it is for you.
Yes. So we redid it with not my toss bouquet, but with one of my bridesmaids bouquet.
That's funny.
I could not believe I actually got that on video. I was just
It
like,
is on video.
okay, well, we can move on.
No,
But
it's
just,
okay.
if you tried to do
I
that
was
again,
like,
I
what are
don't
the
think it would
chances?
happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
What did we not ask you that we should have asked you?
Or that you want to talk about.
or that you
Oh,
want to
I
share?
wanted to tell Mike that I got my flowers preserved in resin.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, we're going to need a picture of
I'll
that.
send you one.
Okay.
I don't have one on my phone, but
I have
got this-
100 pictures over here already written down, so I'm going to add that
Sorry.
one. No, you're good.
I got a circular, like giant, like centerpiece, and it has my like wedding bouquet, and she put like the, my florals in there along with the spray painted like greenery, and then she put rose gold like metallic flakes in there too.
That's awesome.
And then I got a ring holder as well, so it's like a pointed one, and it has my florals in there too, so my ring sits on it.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I tasked one of my bridesmaids with taking my bouquet and overnighting it the next morning.
Your florals were really unique and really, really, really pretty.
So you ship them somewhere?
Yes, they went to somewhere in Indiana.
But very good call on delegating it to somebody
Yes.
because we talked about this before. You can't just up and leave them for 7 to 10 days. And when you go on your honeymoon, so good call on.
That's
Yeah.
probably one of the number one things that I have brides ask me, where can I send this? And they're popping up everywhere now.
Yeah,
So I'm
she
glad
did a
you
great
did
job. So I designated it to one of my bridesmaids whose family had offered to pay for my floral preservation. So I was like, Caroline, you're going to ship it for me. So they went and did that the morning
That's
after.
When you talk about the greenery, explain what Mike did with your greenery.
He airbrushed it for me. And so instead of the greenery, we still went with the rose gold, and he spray painted it.
I remember when we took you into the room, you were like, oh, I love that so much. Yeah.
Yeah, greenery is not my favorite
Thing.
detail. Yeah, of florals, which is the whole point of florals, I guess. But I was like, I want it to be metallic.
Well, and I think just like I always say, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of, that I get to really know my brides. I think Mike, the way he does his floral appointments, and he really, really listens. Like he would talk to me and he would go, that's not Kelsey. Like I'm going to do this. You know, I love that he gets to know them as well and would know what you would like because he was on the money with yours.
Oh, I know. And then the staff at the Brown, because John and I were in there when the wedding ended, and all the servers came up to me and they were like, "Can I take a centerpiece home?" Like they absolutely.
They were just saying,
loved
these
it.
are the prettiest flowers.
Yeah.
Can we please have
And I was
them?"
like, please, like I want you to enjoy them. Like I
Yeah.
hope someone enjoys them.
And that's
longer.
awesome that you did that because I'll tell you what, a lot of people will leave. And what we'll do is we'll take them, put them in the van, and they stay there until Monday morning. So, if it, depending on how
And
cold
then they
or
go in the
how hot it is,
dumpster
and then we
or-
back it up to the dumpster and we throw them in the dumpster.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So,
glad
I
the
mean,
staff
I'm
got
glad
to
the
take
staff
it. My
got to take care
videographer
of it.
took a bouquet home to his
Mhm.
girlfriend. Yeah, literally.
Oh, we didn't mention him, but my gosh, Colin, what a sweetheart.
He's so sweet. He's still working on my video, but I was like, I would rather you take your time than
I
rush
can't
through
wait.
it. Yeah, so he was so sweet. He did an incredible job, so I can't wait to see it.
We'll have to share that out too when it comes. We're so excited. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy married woman now, for taking the time to come back and share with us. I could relive your wedding over and over again. It was a blast.
Thank you
I
so
still
much.
think about it all the time. So.
You should. You should.
Kelsey, I do a lot of weddings, and yours is very rememberable to me. And I appreciate it, and I appreciate you letting us be a part of your day.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Kelsey, thank you for also letting me be behind the scenes. I'm over here pulling photos already from the day. So make sure you check out the social media to see some of the pictures from Kelsey's day. Thank you, as Sharon said, for coming back in to recap. To all of our audience, thank you very much for tuning in. We want to hear your feedback. So as always, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And
Leave us a glowing 5-star review.
until next time, see ya.